take a pause in the TM Pulkit segment as our rockstar of today's meeting has arrived. And to introduce him, I would like to hand over the stage to another rockstar of today's meeting, our presiding officer, President Toastmasters.
Discussed about Mowgli and Gandhi to start. I have one more story. So it was in 2012. Serena Williams just lost her US Open final. People cheered, they clapped, they loved how she played. But after the match, her coach Patrick sat her down and said something which was little tough to communicate. He said that, Serena, when you are nervous, your feet stops moving, and that you do not even know. First, Serena realized that how come that no one ever communicated this to me? My mentor, my fans, family, even my previous coaches. After 2012, after each match, Patrick started giving her feedback, structured feedback, which eventually resulted in Serena Williams won 10 more Grand Slams. So this is not about criticism when it comes to evaluation. This is not about applause to start pleasing someone, that they should not feel little bad. But this is about giving structured feedback clarity, which can help them to grow. Now, to fill that gap within the club, to elevate the quality of evaluation, because we keep evaluating each other, we have someone. So I need to read a little about Toastmaster Pulkit. He is Toastmaster for more than 4 years, has served multiple clubs as a president 5 times within 124 and 41 districts. He is 2-time podium finisher, district Lotus Speech Contest, district finalist in table topics and evaluation contest, and he is winner of district 41 evaluation showcase. By profession, he is software engineer and he lives in Noida. Also, he has facilitated us somewhere in October or November last year. So this is the second time he is here. Thank you, sir. Please help me welcoming Toastmaster Pulkit.
Thank you so much, Rudra, our presiding officer. Now, we're at 11:45 here, right?
Yes.
We'll try to wrap this educational session by going to the latest including questions. The idea of today's educational session is about learning how to evaluate better. Now, do you understand?
Do you need break in between so time and mind need to show you card or something?
Absolutely. You may show, since it's 45 minutes, right? You may show me green card at 25, yellow card at 35, and red card at 45. So red card will be kind of partial. Taste. Will there is 45 minutes more, or should I listen?
No, it's fine.
It's fine. Alright. So 25, 35, 45. What do you understand by the word evaluation? In your view, what evaluating means? Looking for flaws. That's one way to put it. Recommendations.
For helping the evaluator and speaker from less enlightenment of personality to more enlightenment personality. Take it from everything or putting mind. That's what evaluation is from.
Thank you so much. I think that's better put. Evaluation,
Discovering blind spot.
recommendations, or that's an aspect of evaluation. Discovering blind spots. Like, yes.
Giving values in the most practical way.
An action will be a practical way.
Giving suggestions for improvement, further improvement.
Yeah, that's an aspect of evaluation where we recommend or give value. But no matter whether you are giving value by finding blind spots or finding flaws or enlightening someone, the idea of evaluation is to discover the true value of someone. When we say a diamond expert evaluates a diamond expert is trying to value a diamond, how much it's worth. So as an evaluator, your job is to ultimately discover the true value, the max potential of a speaker's speech. And for this, you also have to appreciate and then recommend. Find the blind spots, find the flaws. Not only find flaws, it's easy to point fingers at flaws. It's harder to educate how to mitigate those flaws or make those go. So that's the point of evaluation. You appreciate and then you recommend by giving actionable feedback, like I said, practical feedback. In Toastmasters, as you must have heard the very famous framework we use, it's called CRC. In fact, what we take for granted, because even I got bored hearing CRC, but a few days back I read this LinkedIn post by a very senior engineering director in Geo Hotstar. So he has 20 years of experience. He said that as a manager, I was giving feedback to everyone by giving blood, and his reportees never took his feedback. And then his script manager told him that try giving the good first, then what can we improve, and again end on the good. And he said the take rate of my feedback improved drastically. So what he learned by his corporate mentor, we are going to talk about Toastmasters, CRC works. It's the best way to keep some. It's very simple in speeches as well. In speeches, the idea is you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Have you ever wondered in speeches why people make you laugh first before they give a serious message? Because the moment we make you laugh, the mind opens up. Now you made us laugh, now we are ready to absorb a serious message. World champions use that in every speech across all the years. So it's very similar. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. When you scratch someone back, when you appreciate, they open their mind to be more receptive to your feedback. Hence CRC works. We will stick to that for today. And by the way, since we are Toastmasters, we have to respect framework, break, and those. Let's first start with understanding how to structure. The two most important things in evaluation are commendations and recommendations. The rest, so it's a 5-part framework of basic. I always try to teach it that way. It's a 5-part framework. Your introduction is your part number 1. How you start your evaluation, it matters. First impressions matter, even in evaluations. The second is your commendations. You try to give the good in the speaker's speech. The third is transition. Often we transition very similar. I like this, and this, but every speech could be made better. It's very similar to saying I love you, but no one likes hearing that. So transitions can be made more smooth. It can be made more. The technique matters here. If you transition smoothly, you wow someone. Fascination always helps. Then comes 4th, the recommendations. The most important, in my opinion, in evaluation. The last is how you end. There's the recency bias in public speaking. There's recency bias in evaluations as well. How you end matters. So we'll first try to dissect how to structure a good commendation. And the model I always stick with, which I feel works, is the 3W model. It's very similar. It's the what, the where, and the why. In a commendation, it's what, where, and why. And the idea is simple. While commending someone, what's the first thing you mention? What was good? It's simple. What was good? But most evaluators stop here. I think in my opinion, your stage presence was good. Go on to evaluation, number 2 point. But that's incomplete. what is always similar. What's harder is where. Where did the speaker demonstrate that good body language? Because for this you need to consider. If you are on a mobile and the speaker is speaking, which we all are guilty of, even in online contests, online evaluations, so this is why you see that people often comment on body language, on voice, because it's easier to even capture those data points while you're on quiet or while it is short. That's a different story. But where did the speaker demonstrate that goodness in his speech? The why. Why is your attempt to educate audiences? Why should they even care about that good aspect or continue that good aspect? For example, if I mention that Shubham was great in his body position, someone may ask, especially a guest, why does body positioning matter? My goal is to be a corporate speaker. I just have to stand in front of a dais. My body positioning does not matter. So when you try to teach why body positioning matters or why, you elevate the audience. Adults do not learn when you ask them to do something. They learn when you tell the why behind it. When you tell why body positioning matters, why vocal variations matter, why does questions in a speech matter. So why matters? Because your job as an evaluator is also to teach. If Shubham is the speaker and I'm only trying to tell what was good in his speech, the audience does not benefit. The audience benefits when I point to where and I also tell the why. So that next time when Priyanka comes on the stage, she also tries to demonstrate good body position because she now knows the body. That's it. That's the meditation. An example could be Rudra today started with an enrolling question. When he asked, how many of you have ever attended a Toastmasters meeting? The you focus question pulled us all in. When you start the you focus question, you immediately engage the human mind and the attention shifts to you, which is very important to ensure you start effectively. So it's a what, where, and what. Then comes your recommendation. Recommendation also has 3W, but what do you think adds to a recommendation? The last W will be, it's an H. The H adds, so it's a 3W H model. What do you think H is? How? Like, it's very easy to give advice. It's harder to teach how to implement it. Your job is to be a teacher. So you still mention the what wasn't good, or what can be improved. You can reframe it. What can be improved? Even when Ralph C. Smedley instituted the idea of evaluations, his idea was to point what could be stronger. If you see his word usage, it's not about what is wrong. What could be made stronger is the original idea with which Smedley instituted evaluations. So you are trying to understand, trying to make the speaker understand what can be improved. Because only when the speaker improves those aspects, the real value of their speech unlocks. So you should mention the what can be made better. The where. Where did the speaker fault? If I mention
Aslam.
If I mention that Aslam did not use the stage well, I should point to Aslam. Why do I feel in his speech stage use wasn't done well? I would say, for example, when Aslam was talking about his childhood days and his adult days, it was all delivered at the center. But a good use would be to divide the stage into the childhood phase and the adult phase, which would be a better use or a more holistic use of the stage. So this is me pointing there. Because in Aslam's speech, absolutely I saw that he delivered his both adult and childhood phases at the center, which is there. Then comes why. Why comes so? Because you first try to make you understand why having bad stage use or improper stage use is wrong. So I can say that if you don't use the stage well, audiences or if you want to, you can also word this more positively. When you use the stage well, you signal to the audience that you own the stage. And when you own the stage, audience feel more at ease with your speak. So that's why. Remember, no why is perfect. It's your rendition of why stage is nice. And then comes the how. How would be simple? Next time, when you're delivering your speech, Aslam, may I challenge you that you divide your speech consciously into a 3-part format. Part 1, part 2, part 3. For example, adult life, childhood life, and present. And that conscious demarcation of stage may help you use stage. Again, no how is perfect. It's you trying to help the speaker. And everyone helps bases their own experiences, own knowledge, own wisdom. So no how is good. The only thing is, in a contest it matters because a better how wins. But in club evaluations, that is not. So that's it. The 3WH model comes in your recommendation. Once you, so any questions up to this point? How to structure commendation and recommendation? Does that make sense? The 3W model and 3WH model.
In commendation part, where if you can just relate with one example.
Absolutely. Your name? Ashwini. Let's say if I say, I feel Ashwini had a clear, singular purpose in his speech. In my opinion, this speech is all about work is worship. So the first is what? I feel that this speech had a clear, singular purpose to where. And now telling, in my opinion, what was his speech purpose was. In my opinion, he talked about work is worship, the why. When you have a clear, singular purpose, the audience is able to remember your message for long. And since memorability matters as a public speaker, your speech elevates for the audience. So now it's me trying to say the why. Like when you have a clear, singular purpose, the memorability of a message increases. What's easier, remembering 10 things or one thing? Remembering one thing. This is why even in Toastmasters International Speech Contest Ballot, in effectiveness, which is around 10 points, it talks about as a judge, were you able to determine the speaker's purpose? That can only happen when the speaker has a purpose. We're talking about 10 things that work is worship, public speaking is good, respecting your parents is good, being kind to people is good. No one can determine your purpose. And many speakers use it. Many speakers. But as humans, we want to give. So we not knowledge there. Right? Humans do not learn. We learn by saying. Imagine watching a movie with 10 different storylines. That doesn't answer the question. Give you more examples on 3W or 3WH model, or is it clear? Make sense? Alright.
Question. If we say you have to work on voice modulation, and I am also giving where you are late, but I am except late, maybe if I am not able to demonstrate correctly, then how I can give that recommendation?
That's a good question. Rina. I will come to that. That's the mindset part of it, Rina. I will come to that in some time. Sometimes we do feel that that speaker is too good. That speaker had nothing wrong. That speaker was fabulous. How can I get the recommendation? I can't get it. I will just say everything was good. That's the mindset part. I will just show that towards the end. So now once we have the commendation and recommendation in place, you already have sorted evaluation to a large extent. Because now you have given value. The person knows what was good, when did the speaker demonstrate what was good, and why should the speaker keep on demonstrating that goodness in all his future speeches. In recommendation, you have given all that, but also you have advised the speaker, you have educated him. But now comes the first impressions and the last impression, which is how you start, how you end. Again, evaluation is a speech, and the purpose of a speech is to grab attention. How do you normally start the evaluations?
Thank you for delivering such an impressive speech or such a persuasive speech, something like that.
That's
By picking up the title and saying it in a more captivating way, and calling it with a question.
that's a more seasoned approach, but she was senior Toastmaster. But yeah, that's one way to start unconventional.
Quoting something that speaker has used in the speech itself.
Amazing, amazing. Is there anyone who starts with, like Meena, respectfully or humbly mentioned, you start with thank you, good morning, good afternoon? Is there anyone else who starts with the pleasantries? We do, we all do that. We all do that as well. But it's, in public speaking, it's called an unpleasant pleasantries. Because everyone expects you to say good morning, good evening. Because in school, I had someone in Toastmasters who once said that, okay, I'm learning all this thing in Toastmasters, but in school, my teachers strictly asked me to always start good evening, good morning. So, I don't think in a school, but schools do that. Schools teach you how to be conformist. They want to conform. They want to see that the teacher may ask you that always start good evening, panel of judges, dignitaries, XYZ, XYZ. Yeah. People are taught that. Nothing is wrong, but in Toastmasters or in any public speaking forum, if people can predict your next move, that creates monotony. Human mind is a very lazy organ. It only lights up when it senses something exciting is happening. The moment you start with good evening, they expect that next will be I will with, and today I will talk about evaluation. When they can predict your next move, it becomes good. This is why your intro matters. When you start with the code, when you start with the title, for example, if Reena's title is a Sunday, and start with a Sunday. Is it Sunday all love? And just like you love Sunday, today I love Reena's speech. That's a more intriguing stuff. You take content from the speaker's speech and you pull it in it. For example, when I won the district what I wanted to showcase in after 125, the speaker had this speech about a jacket. You were about a jacket, a wedding jacket. I think I started with, I don't remember, but I took the example of his jacket and brought at the very start. So that's the benefit, because when you bring intro, which borrows from the speaker's speech, it's bound to be impromptu, it's bound to be unique. Because the speaker has just delivered, and there's something called deja vu in public speaking. Deja vu. When you repeat certain stuff that you have listened recently, you might like stuff. For example, I remember in all Toastmasters in February 25, there was this running commentary on Kit Kat. Sometimes that Kit Kat became very important. So someone mentioned about Kit Kat, and then whenever Kit Kat was mentioned, people were laughing. I don't remember the context. You remember?
Not the context, but Kit Kat was there to get
It became a laughter point. Because deja vu works like this way. For example, someone talks about his girlfriend in a previous speech, and he come on stage and say that even the world champion Manoj Vasudevan. So, do you know about Manoj Vasudevan? With 20, you know
what is the name of it?
So, Vasudevan is a 2017 world champion. In 2015, he was in a finals contest. Have you heard this rule in international speech contest that you cannot refer a fellow contestant speech? Do you know the origin of this? Why this practice started? In 2015. So Vasudevan was on the stage, and there were two people that Indians, Aditya Maheshwaran and Vasudevan. And Aditya had a speech about his girlfriend name, and Vasudevan had a speech about marriage. So he started with that. I was 24. I had full hair with balls, full laugh, and Stanley did not have a girlfriend like me. Now, since Aditya has started talking about Neha just before him, people interrupted enough. because that's deja vu in action. And precisely this is why Toastmasters is not strong. Because you are now standing on your fellow contestant's speech to get more brownie points for you. This is why Toastmasters is not allowed to refer ticket protest. But Toastmasters and did that. So this is deja vu in action. So when you pull the speaker's content and create an intro, you like the mind. That's how to start. Another example would be, let's say Feroz was talking about is evaluation directive. So I will start with, let's say the speech is about evaluations. I will start at evaluations are the hardest thing to begin. And thank you Feroz for giving us a glimpse of your evaluation journey. That's the simplest one, which I borrow from this speech one. The second or the third element now is transition. My question to you is, how do you usually transition from commentation to repetition? Do you use but? I like the speech but. Do you use however? However, any student will be better.
I learned about this phrase from your body from somewhere else. Let's take this high of a speech to a sky high level. This is how you can do it.
That's right, because that's more positive word. When we use however or but, we pull the speed. ये अच्छा था मगर हो सकता है और better. And again, it's human psychology. When people expect you to say but, however, when you word your transitions better, it becomes more intriguing, more fascinating. For instance, let's say the speakers which is not cricket. You can see that the commentations are 1, 2, 3. However, any speech could be made better, so we have recommendations. All you can say. In cricket, it's not always the 6s and 4s that wins the match. It's also the 1s and 2s which helps you build up momentum. And here's my feedback to you, how to make those 1s and 2s into 6s and 4s. It's not make better because we have our application but you get the point. You get the point. You take the speaker's speech and build a more impromptu transition out of it. Except, for example, if your speech is about success, I can say success is not just built on accolades. So when I say recommendations 1, 2, 3, I can also say success. Success is not just built on accolades, it's also built on the back of feedback. Here's me helping you with those valuable feedback minutes. Again, a transition which sounds more natural than I like you but or I like it but. My advice to you is make your transitions count. It excites you. It can bring a smile to their faces. I remember this from District 124's evaluation speech contest last year. The speaker started with, I almost like your speech. And here's, so then he came with all the combinations. In transition he said, do you remember I said I almost like your speech? Here's why. So he started with, I almost like your speech, which is again a very intriguing dialogue. And then he brought the recommendations and then he used deja vu effect. In the transition he said, do you remember I said, yeah, I almost like your speech, wondering why? And then he started with recommendations. He won. Because the rest of his competitors used very generic transitions. Very similar to I like your speech cover. As judges, we are humans. Whatever sticks with us. There's a publicity theory that what sticks with you is what you don't expect. In humor as well, we use the same. In humor, we try to. What is it? In humor, do you know how humor works? Or do you know how humor works? Any ideas?
Something which is not conventional.
That's right. That's one way to do it. The idea of humor is simple. say something people are not expecting you to say. And when they are hit with that words, it turns into nervousness. Because what happens when you see something you are not expecting to see? You become nervous. But my question to you is, why does that nervousness become laughter? Because we're in a safe space. This is how humor works. But imagine you are walking in a lonely street and you suddenly see a ghost. You would laugh. You would be nervous because you're not in a safe space. But imagine you are in this room. Suddenly someone just jumps in. You will be stunned, but you will laugh because you know you are in a safe space. It's Toastmasters. So this is how humor works. You bamboozle with them with something they are not expecting, and then they will laugh. The transition go that way. When you use something they are not expecting you, the memorability factors increases, and then they are judging you with higher marks. That's how what we do in contests. Yes.
Instance I wanted to share, like at New Year's around, we were having one meeting, and I was the accountant, and I was talking about the CRPF approach. CRPF Central Reserve Police Force, and then third was regulated hospitals. And suddenly we heard a bomb blast in the next room, and then somebody from the crowd said, "Look, CRPF had died." That serious moment became a laughing moment for us.
And now whenever CRPF is talked about, we start giggling.
That is what? Deja vu. Because for you now CRPF means something
Yeah,
else.
the blast in front of her eye. From the window we saw it.
And it will be very hard to forget that.
Yeah, it all everything.
Captured it, we occasionally shared it.
In fact, this is how in trauma, which we say, trauma or memory was very simple. Anything that dents you, whether it be bad or good also before, bad or good, but what dents you, it stays important. Like CRPF is a good memory now. So transitions make sense?
Yes.
Make your transitions smooth. Challenge yourself. How can I make my transition suited to the speaker's speech? Like for example, give me a speech example. Any speech that you have heard in Sydney. I will try to make a transition also. Any speech you know?
Committee inside my head.
Huh?
A popular speech. Popular speech.
Or any speech you have heard in your club.
She mentioned her own speech.
Yeah, your speech was about
Committee inside my head.
commenting.
Committee.
Committee.
There is a committee inside my head.
Committee is sort inside out. That movie.
Committee in my head.
Committee in her head.
Different identities.
I can say that. But what's use is a committee when they simply just appreciate. A good committee is someone so I can say that imagine having just appreciators in your committee. But I can say that what's good is a committee which just appreciates. A good community or a good committee is also the one that gives you actionable peer feedback. And here's me being your loyal committee member. So that's one way to transition using that idea of committee. It's trial and error. Sometimes even I fumble behind things. Now the last part, which is how you end. The ending has two broad verticals. The first is summary. Do you think an evaluation summary is important?
Yeah, yes.
Super important. What do you think is the common mistake most evaluators do in summary?
Don't give the summary.
Sometimes they don't even give the summary. And even if they do, they give a different summary. For example, if you talk about Rudra's speech, I look at his speech content was good and his stage presence was good. And in the summary I say, just continue with your good vocal variety and expressions. We forget. That's the worst thing we do in summaries. I forget a lot. This is why in contests I write up. But a good summary is something that you have already said, because that creates a recall effect, a deja vu effect. Else it will confuse people. Yeah, इसने बोला था कि मेरा स्पीच करना अच्छा है, बात करा बोल रहा है क्लास में. That's very common. So either you sharpen your memory or just write up. But a good summary is when you are able to wrap your commentations and recommendations crisply. So if you talked about storytelling, body language, and vocal variety as recommendations, ensure you also mention that in your summary. Write it down if you forget. But summary is very important. There's a reason in schools we have revision. When you make people revise something, it stays on long. Your job as a public speaker and evaluator is to be memorable. Because when I walk out, when you walk out of this room, people are still able to retain your learning, your messages, your learnings, your advices. You have made a positive impact in their life. What's good user evaluation and people forget immediately? क्या हुआ था से याद नहीं. A good evaluation is something that stays on with you. For example, there is a speaker, the 2020 world champion. You know his name? I'm forgetting his name as well. His speech had a message that victory is in the try, not in the result. Micah. Online, he's the first online international speech contest winner. Projector. His speech had a message. Victory is in the try, not in the message. You won't believe that even when I'm down today, when I'm afraid to try something new, his message rings in my head. Victory is in the try, not in the result. That's the impact that man has created in his 5-year-old speech. That man has now made an impact in my life. Perhaps it will stay on for many more years. That's something you should inspire as well. When your evaluation, when your speeches make impact, this is how to change lives. So when you create a crisp summary, you are allowing people to retain your evaluations for long. So it matters. And in contest also has marks. Then the last element of a end is how you conclude. And the most important advice here is conclude on a positive encouragement. Do you believe your evaluation have impact on people you evaluate? Do you think? It has. Thank you so much. There are instances in Toastmasters, I have been Toastmasters since now 3.5 years. There are instances I have seen where people have left Toastmasters because their first evaluation was too much. When you evaluate, you are, especially for new people, you are deciding how their journey will be. You can even break them to a point of momentum. I've seen that at least 5 to 6 times that they have been broken. Because there are people who try to redeem themselves Toastmasters. इतने साल तक कुछ नहीं करता है, अब Toastmaster participate करेंगे, and their very first evaluation breaks them. Then say, I'm not good. Real stories from Toastmasters. Your evaluation has a very, sometimes it have very lasting consequences. End on a positive. You want them to keep coming back. For instance, if Firoz's speech about evaluation, about struggling with evaluation, it's not like, Firoz, you have had your struggles with evaluations. Today you have shown that persistence can make you a king. And I look forward to seeing you as an emperor in public speaking very soon. That's a positive end. But I'm now seeing him as an emperor, perhaps. So this is an example of ending positive. Recency bias matters. And that's it. That's your entire evaluation journey. You start unconventional. You pull them in. You give commendations that stick. You tell the what was good. When the speaker demonstrate and also show that you were focusing. And why does having that good aspect matters? Educate. You transition in a way which creates fascination. Because you want the audience to keep chatting along with you. Because now the more harder part of recommendations are. The recommendation you mention the what, the where, the why, but you also tell them the how. And then comes the intro and the end. Summary. But now comes the final aspect of today's segment, which is mindset. Have you ever felt that you were not good enough to evaluate? And the other speaker is too good?
Sometimes the speaker is far more senior or maybe very seasoned. Sometimes we have thought how to judge him or
Fair, fair. That's a common thought. I remember in our Toastmaster had this girl who went out to become district finalist. But even today, when she is evaluating and she brings them home and asks that I'm going to recommend this and commend this. Is it right? I have also told this to her, but it's unfortunate. It's her doubting her own judgment. But evaluation is not supposed to be right or wrong. It's supposed to be your judgment, your insight into the speaker's speech. So even if you feel the speaker could have worn a clown's costume to make his speech better, tell it. As long as you tell it respectfully, with empathy, the speaker will perhaps do it. The only ask is make your recommendation action. There is a speaker in this 24 even want his recommendation that your wall color is too bright, make it pink. That's very hard to change it. Unless the speaker is trying to whitewash his home, you cannot change his wall color. Yes.
So my question is that should we take evaluation from multiple different people all the time, or is it like that should we stick to like one or two people and then deliver the speech again, then take evaluation again from them so that they can judge if we are improving, or should we take a diverse, like what's your take on this?
It's contextual. When you're starting out with a speech, too many cooks spoil the broth. There's this saying. When you're starting out with a speech or constructing it, have one or two focus mentors. Because too many cooks will spoil the broth. Once your speech has reached a certain level, like you are now in area or division, then take a recommendation from people. There's world champions go on to 100 plus clubs within a month and deliver their speeches. So it depends on the level your speech has reached. If it's mature, take feedback from everyone, and also depends on your mindset. If evaluations disturb you, because if you take every evaluation, it's a disaster. You should be able to pick and choose your evaluations. That's a different volume altogether. But to answer the question, initially have one or two focus mentors. This is why we have the focus of mentors, the concept of mentors and Toastmasters. Once you have reached a maturity level in your speech journey, take it and pick and choose.
Can we have some ready-made transitions like from commendation to recommendation? So, from my perspective, whenever I do this speech, impromptu I cannot construct this transition. Can we use some ready-made like
You can, but it won't come off as natural. There are some speakers, evaluators, who have fixed evaluations of it. That they will comment on pauses, and they will have these lines like, music is not made in the notes, it's made in the spaces. It comes off as artificial. Audience is too intelligent. You are too intelligent. You will be able to decide, and once you audience loses trust, this is ethos, pathos, logos, right? Your ethics matter, your emotional depth matters, and your logic. Once they lose trust in your ethos, they will start seeing evaluations coming. That's the danger. Audience is too intelligent. You are doing as an audience, you are not understanding.
When we are evaluating, so how I mostly act like as a mirror or act like as a judge?
Don't act as a judge, bro. That's my advice. Judgment is very different. In contest, we judge. For example, in contest, you will judge on accent and pronunciation. But when you imagine judging someone on I had a speaker in thanks for the question. He once came to me and he said that Pulkit, I think I can never be a good public speaker. I said, why do you think so? He had a Korea accent in his voice. He said that it got evaluated last time that your accent is too strong. And that accent I always why I think my public speaking journey is limited. Impact. So when you judge those evaluations, you may be breaking, and that person was in Toastmasters for 6 years. So he wasn't even new. So your evaluation and impact flow, so try to be a mirror, try to be a friend. Unless until it's your job to judge. This is why we have judgment in private. We never announce our ballot marks. Shubham is a very senior judge, so he knows that. In judgment we do in private. So judgment in private. Imagine seeing your friend's ballot and sitting there and close the this argument is happens. इसलिए हम fraud है. Can break friendships. So, any other questions?
Like in TikTok contest, I have seen many citizen speakers operating their own story banks, like 5 to 6 stories they have in their pocket, and whenever a topic arrives, they plug and play. So can we have a small bank of transitions, NCRC or any other approach, which we can plug and play in contextualized way? If we have to be very sensible enough that it should fall naturally. If that approach is taken, I think we can use such story bank kind of bank of transitions.
I agree, but it has to be when the artist knows how to bend the art. So once you become an artist, you can make anything feel natural. So you can, as long as the audience gets the value, as long as you can bend with the art, you can copy and paste. You can. So in this contextual answer, there are speakers in debate topics who have 10 speeches only, 10 stories. But the way they blend their stories into topics is so natural. If you are able to make a transition, ready-made transitions feel natural, do it. But it's tough at this point.
And we are not talking, I'm not talking from only competition point of view, but we generally want to enlighten the speaker. And if that thing works for him, rather than doing full natural way, I think it should work.
As long as the audience feels it's natural. The only sin is when the audience sees through it. Because then your ethos gets compromised. See, your speech is not supposed to be a performance. It's supposed to be a conversation. If you are able to hold a conversation, because nothing is original, if you think about it, all my content is something that I have already given multiple times. So my content is not original. But the rendition of it is natural. The word I am choosing right now to render that content is more impromptu. So that's the idea. Your ideas can be borrowed, or it could have been used before. But the rendition of it is really natural. That's the artist's criteria.
So if a person is delivering an icebreaker speech, and let's say we have a lot of recommendations written in her evaluation. So in the very first evaluation which they'll be getting, so should we tell all the recommendations, making the transition smoother and giving everything, or should we limit it to just
Thank you so much. In icebreakers, do not recommend much. Like I said, you can perhaps end the speaker's journey sooner than you began. In icebreakers, give one recommendation at max, and that too lightly. They can do it immediately. For example, asking them to use more hand gestures is an easy and lightweight recommendation. So my advice is in icebreakers, try to keep recommendations minimum, try to praise them. Because you never know the journey, the ensuing journey of people. Toastmaster may be the final saving grace for them. So it's a little tricky situation.
I have a question that once there is a new joinee in the Toastmaster club, and there is a lot in them to improve. Now there are certain number of speeches they need to give, and their L1 will be completed. But they are not improving. So they have given speeches, but if I say about the improvement has been around 10% or 15%. Because even if I am not the evaluator, I am someone who has seen them giving speeches and improvement. So to see the real improvement in their speeches, is there be a respective evaluator across their speeches, and that could be bent off? Because the real growth will be when you can assess the improvement. Otherwise, their element will be completed, and there are chances that that particular individual may leave the Toastmaster because they are not able to assess the group.
Right.
So it should be that level 1 progress should be in line with the progress in their speeches as a speaker, or it should be stepwise that you have given 5 speeches, so your L1 is completed. Even if there is no such group they can see or club can see.
The good question is, the mentor will have to push. The dedicated mentor will have to push because as evaluators, if the speaker gives a speech that conforms to the objective, even if it's bland, we have, if the objective is introduction to vocal writing and body language, and there is no vocal writing body language, we can respectfully ask them to repeat. But I've just learned this recently that evaluators are not supposed to repeat. I thought I had authority or friendly authority to ask them to repeat, but it's the choice. The speaker doesn't want to repeat alone. So whether the mentor will have to monitor that, because at harsher conversation, the mentor can do it more easily. But if the speaker delivers these speeches, even mechanically, they will be able to reach the end. But you're right, they may not see the value of.
Just to follow up to this, so if a speaker gives a speech which is below or above the time limit, should we still consider that speech, or should we tell them to re-deliver it?
Again, my view, you cannot ask them to re-deliver. You can tell them that time management matters, but if they choose to deliver a 10-minute speech for a 5-minute speech, there are icebreakers that happen for 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
12 minutes. They want the speaker, so, but the only thing is you can advise them. We are a friend with them. We are advising them that time matters. So your next speech, I challenge you to stay with me. But then I think it's still. I learned this recently that you cannot ask them. I used to make people repeat out of friendliness.
I also do that actually, but maybe I need to stop. That's what I want to know from.
Not in materialistic way, but
Yeah.
genuine friendly.
Any final questions before I?
I have seen many times when people evaluate, they say, I have given recommendations, recommendations. We should use this word in the evaluation. Or I should say, I love 3.3 or you may put on those points to evaluators to start with the recommendation.
That's a great question. That's a great question. So, I do use 2 approaches. I see that today I have 3 commendations and 2 recommendations for you. I have used this in podcast as well. The thing is, the advantage of this is people now know the roadmap. The idea of this thing is you show them the roadmap without telling them what's going to come on the road. Because human mind is an enigma. It likes certainty, but it also does not like too much clarity. It's
You mentioned a discussion to
such an
you to touch them that you are going to present it, but you will make them wonder what is
how we are going to present it. That's you will be able to push on. We are going to tell them that we are going to come with 3 recommendations, but we are not going to tell them how they are going to come. So it's like you are revealing the journey. So they know the movie is 2 hours 30 minutes. You know Dhurandhar 2 was 4 hours 10-20 minutes. You know the time, but you don't know what the movie has. Else you won't see the movie. Yes, but I that fascination goes. So that's a good question. Tell them 3 recommendations to recommendations. That's one way. Or some people also bring abbreviations. This is speaker Ajit Roy. He brings this abbreviation ACE and PRO. So he tries to make his recommendations with ACE. Then you see that how to become a pro. Here's my recommendations. PR. So he always recommends PR. It works if it feels natural, right? Do not try to force it. So that answers. Give a roadmap because certainty is also important. It's an enigmatic thing. Any final question before I?
One request. So post this session we'll have the table topic. We'll continue the table topic. So if you can really real time evaluate one of the speakers.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for your patience.
And then we can dive into it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pulkit. You're always time for me to absorb each and everything and make it work in the file. Thank you.
Now who is the lucky one? Who will be evaluated by?
Yeah. And it's time once again for the lucky draw to continue. And now, who will be also evaluated by none other than the master of the master, the queen, Toastmaster today. We take three or four table topics. Would you like, what the sequence would you like? Should a speaker come, give, you evaluate, or let all three give their speeches, then you evaluate in one go?
I can evaluate in one.
That do you need paper and pen for
Because I haven't been eating a lot of almonds. I got it.
Okay. The topics are very generic and the topics are from across field of knowledge which I have experienced. So yes, who would like to put their hands? Yeah, sure. Toastmaster Dr. Ashwini Kumar, can I have your hand please, sir? The topic is enough is enough. Enough is enough. Toastmaster Dr. Ashwini. And we need your audio too. Alright.
Are you happy?
Yes.
Think, are you happy? Yes or no?
Yes.
Are you happy? Think about it. What makes you happy?
The session conducted by Toastmaster Pulkit.
Anything else? Think about it. What makes you happy?
When we learn something new.
Yes, be alive.
Being alive.
Excess of everything is bad. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Why? Have you ever thought about it? You are happy. You know why you are happy. But if this happiness goes too much, that can create trouble for you. Yes or no?
Yes.
How?
It can create trouble for you. Too much of happiness has caused a lot of problems. Excess of everything is bad. Whenever you have enough, learn to say enough, it's enough. Put a limit. The moment you learn to be understanding what is more than you need, then you can put a stop to it. Whether it is pain, you have to put stop to it. Not allow it to go from enough to enough. So it's very important. If you want life to be successful, ensure it is never enough to be enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dr. Ashwini. And a very important lesson. Just like us human needs a balanced diet. If each and every or any other element gets out of balance, we do not feel our whole self. Similarly, enough is enough, making or having a balance in our life, whether it be happiness, sadness, we all need in equal doses. With this, I would like to invite the next speaker who would like to put their hand in the rabbit's hand. Toastmaster Shruti, would you like to try?
Yes.
Toastmaster Shruti. Comfort is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there. Comfort is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there. Toastmaster Shruti.
keep lying in your bed until someone pushes you. It's time for you to go. It's time for you to go and cook. It's time for you to go and go to the office. But do you observe that when you are doing that, there's a stage in my life when I was on the bed for say consecutive 2 to 3 days. I didn't do anything at that time. But after observing myself, what I realized that earlier I was in these 2 days, I used to do a lot of things, and while doing those things, I was getting satisfaction from inside. And in those 2-3 days, I might have become comfortable because I was at the most comforting place, I can say. Nobody can push me from there because I had already asked that permission for just I need this space. But after that realization, I got to think that if you are thinking that you have to stay here for so long, then believe me, in near future, you are going to tell yourself that you have done a biggest mistake of restricting yourself in that comfort zone. So my suggestions to all of you is never ever stay there for so long when you are in your comfortable place. Just think about it, because maybe it's not comfortable for you now, but in near future you are going to be proud of yourself that what have you achieved in just 2 to 3 days as well.
How beautifully Toastmasters should be talk about this thing. And do you guys remember your 9th class physics? 3 laws of Newton. Thing remain at rest until next is
Law of inertia.
Law of inertia. And very well demonstrated by Toastmasters. Sometimes we have to be our own inertia. With this, who would like to come and test their mettle? Toastmaster Robin, Toastmaster Rina, Toastmaster Priyanka, who would like to? Toastmaster Rina. Celebrate little milestone. Life is finite. Celebrate little milestone. Life is finite. Toastmaster Rina.
How many of you believe that in self-love? Because when we love ourselves, then we have the quality of accepting our strength as well as our weaknesses. And as said in this topic very well, we should also appreciate our small goals, small achievements. When we love to celebrate those small achievements, then we automatically love to self-ours. Because in this world, everyone is going in some racism, and we always compare ourselves with others, and we always think we want to grow and grow and grow. But because of those racism, we sometimes forget our own qualities, our own strengths. But when we, I'm feeling very nervous. So I just would like to end with this. If you love yourself and you stop compare yourself with others, then world will become beautiful. But this is possible when you try to love your small beginnings. When you love your small beginnings, then definitely this world become beautiful and you also.
It is not an easy task to come on stage, especially performing in front of master of masters. And having that nervousness is understandable. Very well tried, and the topic was also very well tackled by you, Master Meena. And we should each celebrate small milestones, because life is not infinite but finite. With this, count 3, 2, 1, fastest finger. Okay, Master Robin. Okay. Toastmaster model.
As all you know that we are born in this world to either we have to do something great to be remembered, or we live in this world because it is very harsh. We face different people like a oyster. The covering of oyster is very hard. So to live in this world, we have to make ourselves and get worthy and try to make ourselves and to
And again, I would like to state, world is like an oyster. It might be hard to approach it, but to soften it, to make it open, and grab that pearl is not an easy task. It was demonstrated by Toastmaster Robin. He tried his best. Today was not the day that oyster showed his or her pearl. One day, sure it will. Toastmaster Priyanka, will you please have me on this stage? Life is tough, make it soft for me. Life is tough, make it soft for me. Toastmaster Priyanka.
Do I really want to make life soft for me? What do you think?
Yes.
No, I don't want to make life soft for me. If everything is as per my expectation, will it not become so boring? You go to school, you study history. Who all are interested in history? Oh, great. But if you talk about me, I find it boring because my teacher just goes through it and I know what will happen. First chapter, okay, it's an introduction. Second chapter, it's evolving. There's no catch in it. And if life was soft, if everything was so defined, I get everywhere all the time, I don't think I'll enjoy it. We love night because there is day. We love winning because we lose someday. If we keep winning and winning and winning, one day that would become very monotonous. When I talk about my brother, he is an athlete and he wins all the time. When he comes back home with medal, I am very excited. Hey, you won! And he's like, yeah, it's normal, it's okay. I'm planning for a bigger thing. It's becoming monotonous for us, for him. So what I want to say is, I want life to throw balls at me all the time. Earlier, when I talk about my own self, I was excelling all the time, and actually I was happy because I enjoy every small win in my life. But when I faced rejection for the very first time, it became very hard for me because I had not seen any rejection throughout my life. So I think it's better to fail early, learn early, and I want life, I wish everybody faces that hard time in life before so that everything is balanced. I don't want it too soft, too hard, just a balance. Thank you.
soft and we want to make it hard. This is my way of commenting on, giving comments on our speaker. President sir, do we have time for another big topic, sir, or should we start? Then before starting the evaluation, if there is no time qualification, we'll throw the poll first, and then we'll evaluate. So that bias is my own. Toastmaster, sir, maybe please have a Toastmaster Aslam. If silence could speak, what would it say? If silence could speak, what would it say? Toastmaster Aslam.
If silence could speak, I would like to tell you a story of a girl who was working with a mentor, which is senior, and she was very simple, down to earth, and very honest. So people, judge her like she is, in Hindi we can say silly type of. But her boss was very introvert towards her, and he was trying to dominate and trying to control only within his limit, and she was silent. And one day she realized, I should speak and come out. And when she come out and the things were changed, people will notice that she is not steady and she have that patience that she should come out, and people notice about the things what was happening, the senior with her, and only the reason when she come out, then the person who was doing same kind of things maybe last 15-20 years with other girls also, and she is able to open the things outside people. So I think silence is not a good thing. If something is happening, you should come out and speak for that. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster sir. Was not an easy topic to tackle, and demonstrated by you that keeping silence is not the best way every time. Sometimes we have to adjust, but a lot of expectations and to abide by those expectations is not something we should kneel down towards. We should stand up and raise our voice. With this, I would like to ask the timer, were there any disqualification on timing basis? No. And evaluator was also clear. How many more speakers name would the video right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A poll with the 6 speakers will be voted very soon. And I request all of you to please cast your ballot. Ballots are stronger than bullets. Share. Have you shared or how to share? Share.
Are you part of this group?
I'm going to share you on your personal window that you also cast your ballots. I want you to clap 2 times if you have cast your ballot. If you have casted your vote, clap 2 times. Yeah, good time. Okay. 3 times. I think the name is missing or sound. The name is missing. One name is missing.
Pulkit, if you
His
cannot.
name is missing.
Have
And
it.
he's into Mudra and it was writer or something. Oh yeah, it's.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली क्या कहाँ से हाँ करा
They were the speakers, so I
हाँ,
they speak with only I guess.
मतलब इवेल्युएशन पार्ट अलग है ना
हाँ.
बस एक्टर विनाश नहीं है.
I have that. Sorry.
I request from last time if you have voted that.
So we have to vote again now?
no no
If you have passed it. Done. Adam, ballot counter, are we done with
We have
our
got
minority?
10 votes and including Ashwini ji 11 हो गए. We have got 11.
मेरे ख्याल से अगर हमारा 4 to 6 होता है
We are 11.
हाँ
11.
ज़्यादा लास्ट मीटिंग काफ़ी अच्छी इलेक्शन उस टाइम
With a volcanic, earth-shattering applause. Welcome again on the stage. Evaluators, Toastmasters Pulkit.
Thank you so much, Shivam. Before I begin, what makes me happy is seeing that every speaker that came on stage was able to conform to the basics of speaking. That is, to start with something enrolling, to start with an element of interaction, to start with pulling the audience in. So well done, and to see that in every speaker. So you can see that element of interaction, communication across all. First is Ashwini. The title is Enough is Enough. Now the best part about Ashwini's speech was, he started with the interactive element. Anything with a U because interaction. A public speech has 3 broad elements. The interaction, the dialogue, the statements. In a tabletop speech, it's very difficult to give dialogues. You only have 2 minutes. So we have to lead with interaction and statements. So I like the fact that Ashwini brought in the interactive element, anything the you or your is interaction, are you happy? Not only did he brought in the question, are you happy, he also echoed it. He asked it twice. The echo has a psychological effect, which is a teacher. And then he also made us reflect, an inquiry came in, right? What makes you happy? At the very start, there was interaction, there was reflection. So that's a brilliant way to get the audience to come along with you on a journey. I also like the fact that when he said X of everything is paused. I was there, I said that because that's the way you break the fourth wall. You make the audience a part of your speech. So again, a very professional approach. The recommendation is, at the very start, even though there was inquiry and interaction, I believe in a short speech, momentum matters. When you brought in those interaction, which allow you to interact with the audience, but that also led to loss of momentum. The speech elongated at the very start. When the real estate is less, when you only have 2 minutes, making most of it requires you to use your time wisely. So that I think the momentum lost Ashwini. And I also felt that towards the end, Ashwini also contradicted his premise. The premise is enough is enough, which he built along with by saying enough happiness, for example, is enough. And then he ended with never enough to be enough. That's a clear contradiction of premise. Should we believe that being enough or never enough is enough? Or enough of everything or X of everything is bad? That is a common problem we have as speakers. We sometimes contradict our own premise. So I think that's a recommendation. Is the message never enough to be enough? Or is the message that excess of everything is bad, like happiness, excess is bad? Effectiveness comes in when you bring in a clear, singular purpose. In fact, what's your level 1 project doing Toastmasters?
Writing a speech with purpose.
Writing a speech with purpose. Having a speech conform to a single purpose can assure you is the hardest thing you're doing, even as a district president, district participant. Shooting. Comfort is a beautiful place, but nothing grows there. Again, should we start with the question, have you ever observed that line makes you happy? The interaction element, so basics matter. If you start with the basics right, the speech will turn out to be better. So that's good enough. I also like the fact that should we use compounding at the very start to her advantage. What's compounding? Either you start with the one you-focused question, or you start with a series of you-focused questions. There's a theory in public speaking. In the first 20 seconds or 30 seconds, the more you use, the engagement of the speech grows. An example could be, let's say the speech has, have you ever went to a home and found children breaking things? Versus, have you ever went to your home and saw your children breaking things? What makes more personal? If I say, have you went to a home and saw children breaking things? Versus, have you went to your home to see your children breaking things? What makes more personal?
Your.
The reason is you have 3 yours at a very start. And she did that. She had 2 questions. Have you ever observed and do you observe that compounding? So she had 2 yous at a very start. That's compounding in action. The recommendation is, we saw a moment of realization but not reward. Yeah, perfect. The recommendation is, in Shruti's speech, we saw a moment of realization when she realized that too much comfort is bad. But we never saw the reward. After realizing that this is not good, our life improves. In your speech, it was a moment of realization but not reward. In fairy tales, there are ups and downs, but always ends with a reward. This is what makes the story so enticing. So end with a reward. Tell that after realizing that comfort is not beautiful, what positive changes it brought to your life, and then the audience is educated that comfort is indeed bad. We have to do that Shruti and perhaps get that award for ourselves. Rima, celebrate little life stories. Life is finite. The positive. So when Rina started her speech, I was confused because she brought in racism at the very start. And I was intrigued, I was fascinated by how she will be able to connect racism. This is a completely different vertical to the topic, celebrated locals. But kudos to you, Rina, she did it. She basically took the message out of racism and then said that when you stop racism, the world gets beautiful. And the world gets beautiful, so celebrate small wins. So ultimately, I was convinced that racism, the end of it, makes the world beautiful. And since the world is beautiful, also celebrate small wins. So that's a very unconventional approach to Rima, but it worked for you. But try at your own risk. This is a risky approach, and Rima was able to put it off. What recommendation is, I learned this from TM Valentine. You know about TM Valentine? Valentine, the 1999 world champion.
1999, yes.
Yes, he came to district conference last year. So he talks about the question element, and how can you make the questions better. 2 questions. If I ask, how many of you have been to a Toastmasters meeting versus have you been to a Toastmasters meeting? Which to you sounds more personal?
Second.
Why?
It's directed directly to us.
Absolutely. Because when I say how many of you have been to a Toastmasters meeting, I am treating you as a collective. When I ask, have you been to a Toastmasters meeting, I am treating you as an individual. And do you like being treated like an individual or a collective?
Individual.
So we start with how many of you, we do that. So that's a recommendation came to my mind, but I was really intrigued by her very unconventional art, curiosity. Robin, world is your oyster, yes or no? Again, there were basis was right. We started with, as you all know, the Q matters, and very that's critical thinking. When he said covering of oysters is very hard, it fascinated me because now I knew what he's talking about. That since covering of oyster is hard, whereas I have to be hard because when only the word is an oyster. So that kind of critical thinking fascinates people. So well done. But here's a recommendation: have you struggled with unconventional topics which you don't are not able to make heads and tails of it like this? What is the oyster? My recommendation to this effect is, whenever you have such an unconventional topic, start with interaction. For example, Robin could have asked that, what is an oyster? An oyster is a structure, is an animal found on the beaches. And what makes the oyster unique is hard covering. When you interact, you get time to process what can come next. And then you can say, after interaction comes a story. And life taught me that being hard is important. 3 years back, I was so and so in Toastmasters, and so you build a story. So interaction, that gives you enough vacuum to start thinking of a story. Then you start with a story which justifies that abstract topic. Then you bring a message, and so I learned that life is hard. And here's my advice to you. Then you tell them how can they apply that message. So when you have an abstract topic, interact. For example, if I say music is the key to life, I can say, what is music? Music is a collection of notes, and once they are together, they make things beautiful. 4 years back, I was in college, and everything was in disarray. So I started with something like, or I started a story as well. I remember the first time I was listening to music. I was in my college bus and listening to music. So when you start with something interactive, it gives you vacuum to say what to say next. That's the best way to tackle abstract topics, because you have to make sense of it. And when you are able to make sense of an abstract topic, it's very hard for you to not win, because you have now दिमाग को ना चक्षु हो जाता है. You have just wow people. So that's advice: interaction, story, message, call to action in abstract topics. Let's now go to the final few evaluations. Priyanka, I do have a lot of commendations from Priyanka. She did wonderfully well. Life is tough, make it soft. She used the contradiction strategy. Often, since we are under pressure in table topics, whatever topics master is very bad. Because, let's face it, you and I, we have this tendency to perform. Humans do that. That's called social contract. So when you contradict the topic master itself, it creates so you create that element of fascination, that element of surprise. So like the fact that she contradicted, but I do not believe that. Do I really like life soft? I do not. So that's contradiction. She was very animated. Apart from Priyanka, as a recommendation, most of our speakers today were transfixed. Because when nervousness takes over, when you're trying to think, it's very difficult to also move. But when you move in a table topic, you show that you own the stage. You differentiate yourself. Because only the person who still has body awareness, despite under pressure, is going to be able to use stage. But Priyanka did that. She was animated, she used the stage well. And she demonstrated this Oreo strategy. Have you heard of Oreo strategy in table topics? It's a classic beginner framework. If used well, you can usually deliver the best table topics. She had an opinion, and I do not believe life is better as soft. Then she had a reasoning where she talked about that too much softness can lead to problems. We had an example about her brother, and then she ended with the opinion again. So that's a classic Oreo strategy: opinion, reason, example, opinion. So you start with opinion, end with opinion, then you see the reason. The If I say life is better tough, I should give the reason. Because life as tough makes you better human. Example, how being tough made me a better human. And I said, and this is why I think life is better as tough. Very elementary framework, if used well as an artist. And then she used that as an artist today. Recommendation, I think Lenka has a lot of energy. There's the saying of speaking that too much dynamism is not dynamism. Too much softness is not softness. Excess of everything is bad. It's a fact. She had excess energy from start to finish. That can tire people later. Too less energy can bore people. Too excess energy can tire people. Have variation. Have the softness like those people also come. And I also felt she had a message loss. I'm not able to recall now how, but I wrote this message loss, purpose loss. I will be able to recall it because maybe, like I said, I also forget. But there was actually that I think she also contributed a message. Her message was life is tough. She ended with saying that she wants her life neither tough nor soft. That contradicts her whole premise that life is better tough. Again, that's wrong. Just like Ashwini. Ashwini's premise was that enough of everything is bad, and then he ended with never enough is never enough. Watch out for these subtle deviations. Someone who is focusing on his speech, really confused. Should I believe that balanced life is good, or should I believe that tough life is good? You leave the audience confused. That's level 1 objective is, I got it from Toastmasters. He said that the toughest, and the whole chapter says, the toughest project he has seen is L1P2, because someone who understands L1P2, writing a speech with purpose, according to Toastmasters, will go on to win the world championship. It's Aslam, Afghan speaker. If silence could speak, what would it say? Aslam used the strategy of lead the story. If you see, he started the story statement about that the person who used to bully that girl. That's again a good way to enroll people in. Stories have this biological effect because as humans, when someone tells a story, it activates a survival instinct. कुछ तो सुनने मिलेगा जिससे हमारी लाइफ अच्छी हो जाएगी. So leave the story model we used, and I think that topic was tough, like Shubham said, but justice was done. He was able to do justice to the topic by saying that since the girl chose not to be silent, and her silent girl eventually spoke, she spoke something that changed, this practical pages. So it's a very beautiful abstract way to present the speech. The very first recommendation is we often repeat the topic. Unpleasant pleasantries are bad. Anything conventional is bad. That's why I think that we repeat the topic. Silence to speak. People expect you to do that. So do not give people what they expect. Always fascinate them. And also, when you have a serious speech, when you have a serious speech where you rattle people up, a story about sexual exploitation or something, when you rattle people up, soften towards people, give them moments to reflect. So ask people that, have you ever stayed silent in your life? Have you ever felt that you are doing injustice to the voice the world has given you? My advice is be like that girl. Stand up, because you don't know your silence once grew to change so many lives. So you give them a moment to reflect on the heavy emotion that just raised. This is when you're able to justify those emotions. Else people will be rattled when you end. And a rattled speaker is the audience, is not the focused audience. And it's heavy. If you give them heavy emotions, they won't like you that much. That's my recommendation. Thank you so much for your patience again. Over to you. I think we have more announcements. Yeah. What I like about Shubham is each of the topics will need a contest. Like I said, Shubham is a super judge. I've seen him, his contributions are enough. All these are actual contest topics. So today you did not just deliver table topics, you participate in table topics itself. So I like the fact, Shubham, that he brought in topics which are relevant or practical, which are actually chosen by Toastmasters contest chairs across the country. That gives you actionable, practical practice or practical exposure to techniques. Because there it's easy to bring questions like, what if you were Superman? Or what if you were the Prime Minister? But rarely you get these topics on the screen. The exposure, so it becomes a sandbox environment, not a practical exposure environment. So well done, Shubham. Your knowledge, your experience across all these quarters have been benefited your fellow members. And like the fact that you also conform to the parliamentary rules. As speakers, we do as table Toastmasters, we do two broad mistakes. Firstly, we never use the name, title. We just say Ashwini, enough is enough. We accept. But in Toastmasters, the name, title, name needs to be used. Secondly, we sometimes give the topics just by focusing on the speaker. Ashwini, enough is enough. And we accept. But Shubham was able to also give a topic to us. The topic matters to both the audiences and the speaker. So you had good body awareness. He was facing us while also acknowledging the speaker. So parliamentary procedures, the body awareness was excellent. And I like the fact that the topic had practical exposure. It was not had a recommendation shown because it was smooth, it was under parliamentary rules. And I was fascinated by seeing all these topics. And you also remembered them, so that's a great example of recall. So all in all, wonderful job. Let's applaud for it. I will hand back to you.
A beautiful morning transition into an afternoon quiet hour is about to come to an end. In a beautiful way to bring it to its conclusion, I would like to hand over the stage back to the pillar of this club, his master, Rudra President, to continue.
First of all, thank you Toastmasters Pulkit for taking your time and sharing your wisdom with us. I know the hardest part is most of us we are centered to our growth. We come, we collaborate, engage, we learn and grow. But the toughest part is sharing or serving your community. So you taken out time to serve the Toastmaster community. Thank you for that. So there are many individuals in history who did that. So they focused on their own growth, and that was the only way they were there to serve the society. So we started with Mahatma Gandhi, right? So Mahatma Gandhi, if he would have remained in South Africa, even after 1914, I don't think he would have been in the position of father of the nation. He came back, he returned, and then he started serving the society with the kind of knowledge or wisdom he attained. So thank you, sir. Now we have token of appreciation, and we would like you to please come on the stage. Please help me welcome you.
No, I think you have been super patient. I really appreciate you inviting me. Thank you so much for your participation in that. I'm still working on time management. I was supposed to reach by 11:15.
Huge round of applause.
Now, please help me welcoming the timer of today's meeting, Toastmaster Mayank. So we have tied best topic speakers. So first goes to Toastmaster Aslam. Sir, can you please come? And then best topic speaker second that goes to Toastmaster Priyanka.
Thank you.
And then table topic master, Toastmaster Shubham. Sir, if you can please come. Now I will request Toastmaster Shruti if you can please come and share your feedback, how do you feel and all.
I came here for the evaluation session by Pulkit, and not only I enjoyed and I think I get benefited by that, I really enjoyed and observed that you people have that like friendly vibes in your club, and it really motivated me to maybe I visit more often your club. Yeah, all good things about you. I have observed that each and everyone was focused. Not at all. I haven't seen anyone focusing on their own work. Like I used to visit a lot of clubs and I have seen people sitting there and they are busy on their own work and don't bother about who is standing there. And that's a good gesture, whoever is standing